Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. My dear Vascular colleague, another lecture of my reflections from Charing Cross 2023. The title is The Use of False Lumen. My name is Dr. Muhammad Omar Al-Farouk. I'm a consultant vascular surgeon. This one of the very nice lecture in Charing Cross 2023 by Timothy Resch, one of the professors of vascular surgery. He works in Copenhagen Heart Institute. The title of his lecture is The Use of Laser Fenestration to Aid in Endovascular Treatment of Chronic Dissection of Thoracoabdominal Aortic Aneurysm. He is a consultant, cook, also mid-tech. He's also consultant Medtronic, Bentley, and Gore. And he is one of the unique consultants which has Philips laser machine. This is the Philips laser machine, which, as you can see, it's a laser machine which is quite big. This is where the head of the laser is, and then you have a catheter which have 8 French. From inside this catheter you can get a wire and you can get a balloon, and the wire has laser beam in it. The procedure of the laser itself usually takes 2 to 3 seconds. This is where you do precision penetration to either arterial wall or septum or endograft. And this machine is only found in big center, but the idea behind it is very important. Now also we frequently use steerable cheese, which is essential. This is in order to have a good manipulation to both renal, celiac, and superior mesenteric artery from femoral approach. He uses Aptus, which is a tour guide steerable sheath, which really have quite a big angle if you want to go to any direction you would like to. So he presented a CT angiogram of the case, and it's a very good lesson to all vascular surgeons to know how to read and interpret CT angiogram from a cut section. You can see here is from the neck going down. Here is the aneurysm in the false passage and the true lumen into the aorta, sending aorta. You can see how big is the false lumen, how small is the true lumen, and this is the septum. And it's very important to know where the celiac artery comes from, usually at 12 o'clock. Here is the celiac, here is superior mesenteric, and both renals comes from the false lumen. So this is a very good lesson to see. This is a case which is false lumen presented type B aortic dissection in a 78-year-old lady. If the 3D reconstruction, you can see here is the false lumen, here is the true lumen, and this is the septum, and this is the subclavian artery, the left subclavian artery. And you can see there is not much distance of left and subclavian artery. You need at least 2 centimeters around. And here is another diagram to show the false lumen, which starts from left subclavian artery going all the way through, and then here is the true lumen and goes down to both iliac arteries. So this is the summary of the image. Now, this is the lower part of the dissection. You can see this is the false lumen. This is the true lumen, where the renal artery comes from the true lumen. And here is the false lumen, here is the true lumen, and this is the septum. Now, he tried to go through the true lumen, but he couldn't. You can use the false lumen very, very carefully to put your TVAR device. And here is the arrow. You can see he goes from the true lumen, which is collapsed. Here he will do laser penetration from true lumen to false lumen. Then he goes up false lumen and do another penetration to the true lumen. Plus carotid, and carotid subclavian bypass in order to get a good cover, which is quite standard. But this is very careful to have the TVAR going from true to false and then from false to true again. One of the very difficult, very excited cases. Now, here is the measurement. He used a device according to the measurements, and he has the superior mesenteric, the celiac, and both renal arteries, and the upper end with the exact measurement. We know that this device takes around 1 month to manufacture. And you cannot use Gore Tempe device because they will refuse this anatomy of dissection. They haven't done cases of dissection so far. I've tried to collect for you the video of the procedure. We explain roughly what has happened. This is the catheter, the laser catheter, and there is the septum of the false lumen, and here he do the penetration. And this is the IVUS catheter in the false passage to know exactly where you need to do the perforation. Let us go to this nice video, which is a short summary of the case. You go right femoral artery, put the catheter, and then you have an image. This is a true lumen, renal artery. It confirms that you are in the right renal artery, injected eye. Then put your IVUS into the false lumen, and then put the catheter. As you can see, the catheter from the laser fenestration, and you can see this is the true lumen, false lumen, and you need to pinpoint exactly where you need the puncture. You can see it because it's just 2 seconds. You can see it here. That's it. And you put the wire in. Let us see it again. You do the penetration and push the wire in. Now you are from true to false lumen. You go up, and then you do another penetration to the false lumen in the upper end, and then you put your guide wire. After that, it's a straightforward TVAR after carotid, and carotid to subclavian bypass to cover the left subclavian artery. Here is the deployment of the graft, and then at the lower end of the graft, where you have done the fenestration, you need to do fenestration into the graft, going into the right renal artery and the left renal artery, both of them, and you put the VBX stent in that. You need to cover a lot of the renal artery in order to make it secure. And this is another graft for the left renal artery using VBX, and then you go to celiac and superior mesenteric. And this time he did put 2 stents in the celiac artery, 2 VBX after penetration of the graft, and 1 in the superior mesenteric artery. This is how you went from true to false to true. Here is a picture with the wire in the superior mesenteric. Here is the angiogram, and here you can see there is coil because there was a false passage, false lumen into the iliac artery, which is they tried to coil 2 weeks after the procedure, but it did not close. So they booked the patient for bilateral IBD, internal iliac artery branched device, iliac branched device. So he did put bilateral IBDs right and left. He found on 1 month follow-up that the celiac VBX have separated apart, which is not unusual. Solution is you go in and you do another bridging stent. This is the follow-up after 6 months, no endoleak, and very nice graft going from true to false to true aneurysm. This actually remind me of very nice paper that I have read 2 years ago. TIVAR stent in the false lumen of a chronic type B aortic dissection with aneurysmal dilatation when there is no other option. This is very important when you don't have any other option. So this is a very nice paper. Here is the summary, again, similar to the one presented by Timothy. False lumen going all the way through to the branches. And here is the cut sections, all of them. And here is a very good summary, how you go from true lumen to false lumen. And then again, false lumen, you do your fenestration. And then you do your bridging BBX stent. This is very good diagram of where you do the penetration. You wouldn't be able to do this without a laser fenestration or other methods like septostomy knife, which is not very commonly used. Laser is much better, but it is also more expensive. This is the 6 months follow-up of this case. You can see that the stent seems all right with all the branches, all the renal arteries, celiac, superior mesenteric. And I would like just to mention the conclusion of this paper, because this is not a standard procedure. In complicated type B aortic dissection, every attempt must be done to deploy TIVAR inside the true lumen. So every attempt should be done. However, in some cases, this is due to chronic occlusion or difficult, then you have the option of TIVAR deployed is considered to be given more suitability in proximal and distal landing zone and adequate blood supply to the aortic branches lower extremity. We had a successful outcome in this patient after 2 years, but longer term durability of this repair need to be validated. So in some cases, when open repair is not feasible, you can go from true lumen to false, and you put your TIVAR in the false passage with a connection up and down to the true lumen. This is the conclusion of this paper. I hope I have summarized an important point for vascular surgeon from Charing Cross 2023, and thank you very much.